Hello, thanks for having us. My name is Julie Dennis, and I'm the Chief Architect for Cambridge University Press and Assessment. And joining me is Andri, Johnston, who is head of our digital sustainability practice at Cambridge University Press and Assessment. And we're going to tell you a little bit about what we've been doing and bringing things to life. But just as a background to us as an organization, 490 years ago, King Henry VIII granted the University of Cambridge a royal charter allowing them to print all manner of books. Since then, we've evolved to Cambridge University Press and Assessment, and underpinning our business is educational content. Our mission is to contribute to society through the pursuit of education, research, and learning at the highest levels, and print content has been a key enabler of our mission for centuries. However, for an organization to survive hundreds of years like we have, we needed to evolve and change. And experiencing the digital transformation has been no exception for us. Like most organizations relying on print content, we have moved the dial significantly towards digital content. As a department of the University of Cambridge, we set our carbon reduction targets to align with theirs to be carbon zero on all energy-related emissions by 2048. And we also have our own Cambridge University Press and Assessment interim commitment to reduce these energy-related emissions by 72% of our baseline measure by 2030. We're also in the process of setting our Scope 3 targets. Next slide, please. However, with the rapid move from print to digital in the publishing and education industry and increased questions about the environmental impact of this shift, we recognize that with the emerging understanding of a digital carbon footprint, we didn't want to trade one problem for another. Internally, we are starting to refer to how the change we make to the way we work have a carbon benefit for the business, and many of our decisions to be more sustainable have actually got a double benefit of reducing our costs. For example, moving from a print to stock to a print to order model, which reduces the inventory that we need to store, saving us emissions. The shift from print to digital holds a large carbon benefit for us as a business. However, we need to make sure that everyone across the business stays mindful of digital emissions as well. Next slide, please. We have a dedicated cross-functioning environmental sustainability strategy team working across our key strategic pillars to enable the business to achieve our environmental goals. I'll draw out a few things here. Firstly, in our business of print content, there are two pillars impacted by print, both the production of paper and print, as well as the carbon needed to transport print content. A reduction in our paper will actually have a corresponding reduction in the carbon footprint of our freight. Secondly, our sustainable technology pillar is divided into several areas of focus. One is technology sustainability, which is focused on several things, using our buying power to influence our Scope 3 emissions on hardware and software, as well as our cloud hosting strategy of moving our on-prem footprint to the cloud. And the other very critical thing that we're looking at is our digital sustainability, which is focused on the carbon footprint of our online customer products. Andri, presenting with me, has led our digital sustainability work from the outset. She's set and championed the vision and has been instrumental in progressing us to where we are today. And she's here today to give you an overview on how she's done it. Over to you, Andri.
Thanks so much, Julie. So a little bit about our journey today. Really, this presentation is a celebration of all of the tools, methods, models that have come before us and that we've used in various different ways to try and practically implement digital sustainability and measuring the digital carbon footprint of our customer-facing projects and products. We started off a couple of years ago, about 4 years ago, in the academic side of our business, where we do our journal and book printing and publishing. There was a huge shift from print journals to digital online journals, one for a cost-saving benefit, but also, as Julie mentioned, because of the reduction in our carbon emissions. Naturally, we had some customers from the library side of the business asking us the very important question: is digital really more sustainable than print? 4 years ago, we couldn't answer this question. And our customers being in the academic space and working as academic publishing division on that side, we couldn't just give them some numbers without context. So we went away and did some research and found a tool called Dimpact. The tool was created by the University of Bristol's Computer Science Department and the consultancy company known as Johnston, and they've now joined SLR. The tool itself allows you to input data from your digital product into the tool and then gives you your digital carbon emissions. It does this through a number of different models that it uses. One of these models or modules is aligned to the digital publishing workflow. The thing about Dimpact is that it is great for reporting, and it allowed us to have the numbers available so we could take that to senior managers and show them what the impact is. However, we quickly realized that having numbers is not enough and that we need to think as well about what the real world impact is. As I said, the DIMPACT tool itself is set to align with various different value chains or workflows. The tool has a number of modules, including digital publishing, but also streaming, gaming, and digital advertising. It is very well structured for any company in the media industry. What's really useful about the way that it aligns with the value chain in publishing is that it allowed us to know exactly where to go and collect the data we needed to input into the tool. Now, this model will not be new to anyone watching this presentation. As standard, we need to collect 3 different areas of data to calculate the digital carbon emissions of our digital products. Firstly, we need to look at our cloud hosting. For us, that's AWS. Obviously, this holds a large number of challenges around getting accurate data around our cloud hosting. Secondly, we need to collect our data around network connection, whether it's fixed line and cellular. A lot of research recently has come out saying that network data transfer stays pretty consistent throughout the day in a specific country. It doesn't really matter how much data you're sending across the network. However, for us as a global company, we need to ensure that we are aware of the fact that our customers sit all over the world and that we have different network infrastructures all over the world with different data transfers and thus also different carbon emissions. We also need to be very aware that a very big proportion of our customers sit outside of the global north and sit in countries like sit in areas like South America and Africa. We know from research out there as well that the cellular connection in sub-Saharan Africa emits a lot more carbon emissions than fixed line networks due to the fact that these cell phone towers are powered by diesel backup generators. So for us as a global company, we can't ignore network infrastructure. We need to be aware of the differences because of our customer base. And lastly, talking about customers, is our data around end user emissions. And this is data we collect from Google Analytics around the devices used and around how long people spend on our platforms and the sizes of our pages. There is the debate around whether this data should be included in our digital product emissions reporting. Some companies don't include it at all, such as Netflix, but other companies do include end user emissions, such as Unilever, for example. Um, However, for us, this is an area that we are collecting data on because it's really important for us that can start to make improvements in this space. So, what does our journey look like with Impact? Well, as I said, we started out in the academic side of the business, calculating the emissions of our books and journals platform, our preprint platform, and our higher education textbook platform. We also calculated the carbon emissions for our online learning platform that we have with the University of Cambridge and for Cambridge One, which is our English learning platform. We've also recently just onboarded one more platform. What we've learned over the last 4 years? Well, even though our data isn't consistent across all the platforms because we've onboarded them throughout the last couple of years, we have seen the unfortunate trend that the emissions for all of our platforms are continuing to rise over the years. Now, we know that an increase in carbon emissions also correlates with an increase in customers, which, from a business perspective, is a good thing. And for us specifically, and our mission of getting getting education out to customers all over the world, to teachers, learners, students, this is very much part of our mission. But we need to find a balance between gaining more customers, spreading more education, and keeping our carbon footprint down. We've also seen that there's been an increase in our page weights because we keep on adding more and more and more to our pages, especially in our academic side of the business, where our pages keep on growing and we can never get rid of this content. Other things we've learned is that when we started off with our impact assessments, we tried to do really deep, detailed analyses. You saw the structure of the publishing value chain and how much detail can go into it. However, we realized that to be able to find a baseline number across the whole business, we needed to shift to do more high level reporting. And that's what we're doing now, mainly focusing on our hosting and end user emissions. We also realized that we had no standard across the business in terms of cloud architecture, page design, and more, or even how we were setting up our Google Analytics data. So slowly, we've started to identify these areas, and we're looking at how we can improve them in a way to find standards that will improve the business, but will also improve the carbon emissions of the sites. And another really, really important learning that we found and that I kind of alluded to earlier is that about 90% of our customers, especially in the education and English language space, sit outside of what would be considered the standard impact country categories and fall into this other category. These are countries that are generally not in Europe or the United States. And they're also usually countries with grids that are not decarbonizing as quickly as they would in Europe. For us, these customers are customers that we have to reach, but we don't want to put an undue burden on them either. We've had the opportunity to use a number of different tools. And when we do this presentation in a year's time, these tools might look completely different. And that's the amazing thing about the digital sustainability space is that it keeps on evolving and changing. But we've used a lot of these tools to show to our teams where the biggest impact is on their pages, where they can make improvements, and what the page weights are. We know as I said, we know that we need to make a real world impact. So we needed to take our digital emissions and translate it into action. We did this by creating what we call our digital sustainability principles, where we measure, we set targets to improve and optimize, and we measure again. Together with Whole Grain Digital, we put together a sustainable web design guide, which is basically a short version of all of the amazing information that's out there on the internet around sustainable web design. But it's a quick and easy tool that we provide to our teams to give them an introduction to creating more sustainable products. We also built this out, or what this was based on was our own digital sustainability guidelines. Again, this is a collection of what's out there already, and we just kind of pulled it together to introduce our colleagues and empower them. We think about sustainable design thinking, carbon aware design, and inclusive design. And each of these areas allows us to focus sustainable design thinking on specific colleagues, for example, UX colleagues or our cloud architects. But also, it's really important that we remember that accessibility plays an important role as well in sustainability, because essentially, accessible product is also a sustainable product. A very big part of what we do is empowerment and education around digital sustainability. Having the numbers is not enough. Giving our teams the tools to know how they can start improving is really important. So, as Julie mentioned, we are in the process of setting our scope 3 carbon emissions. However, product emissions are not yet part of that. Our cloud emissions are, but not our full product emissions. This, however, has given us some time to onboard more products onto Dimpact for in-depth analyses so that we can share the data around these emissions with the product teams. We are in the process of creating a MVP version of a quick digital emissions calculator, which will launch in January 2025. And this calculator allows teams to do quick analyses of what the emissions are or will be of new projects or improvements to projects. And we help them to do this rather than them going away and doing back of the envelope calculations. We're working towards automating our digital emissions calculations. We're updating a number of guidelines across the business, as I said, to find standards. And we're doing a large number of trainings and workshops with our teams to introduce the guidelines and digital sustainability thinking. We're also starting to understand and investigate what our footprint is of our Gen AI program, seeing as it's a really big part of where we're moving to as a business. The exciting thing about this is that our Gen AI program colleagues are really keen to incorporate sustainability as KPIs. And to me, that kind of just says that we're on the right track as a business in terms of wanting to make a difference. So it's been a long journey, and we're still learning and we're always changing. But it's been really great to be able to showcase a little bit of what we've done over the last couple of years to calculate our emissions and how we're continuing to grow on this journey. Thank you very much.